Hello, this is Glenn. Welcome to another episode of A Day in the Life. It's been an interesting Monday. White people and TikTok. You know, a lot of times I listen to a lot of these content creators talking about various issues. Could be about sports, could be about everyday life situations, could be about politics. Hell, it could even be about work. The one thing that I came across today was, what was it, yesterday? A content creator talking about another TikTok content creator named George, who always seems to get his TikTok account banned or locked because of whatever content that he's putting on there. And most of the time, it's about white truths. Truths, truths. You know, you get situations where people just point out some of the things that white people have been known to do over the years, whether it be going way back to the beginning in slavery, or taking over or taking land that didn't belong to them, or how they move today in a lot of the same ways. George from TikTok, his work would always get banned when he spoke of these types of truths concerning blacks. Then they would, talk about things like, white people always complaining, and and then they will report his account or other accounts like his that are just speaking truths that people just don't want to hear. I've seen a lot of that too, and there are a lot of untruths that they've been speaking over the years, like talking about they're the architects of civilization, which isn't true. Biblically, you can look at different situations and know that that wasn't true. But what you can say is that they have been known through history to take things that don't belong to them, or take something that belongs to someone else and make it theirs, and then put their stamp on it like it's something that they invented or they discovered or whatever. They've been doing that since the beginning of time, and that's something that they've always done. Even when it comes to building things, going way back, they would take credit for work that was done on the back of slaves. They never built anything without forcing others to do the labor. Think about that. During slavery times, all this land that's been developed and built over the years, they didn't do that. They used the slaves and had them building the stuff for free. I mean, the slaves weren't getting paid anything. It was just free labor. Those are facts that you can actually look up. The plantations of the Americas to the factories of the Industrial Revolution. This was all stuff that was built by slaves, done by slaves. They would rather enslave millions than farming their own lands. They just don't want to put the work in, but they'll take the credit for all the work that was done. I just felt like it was necessary to talk about this and bring this up because you get a lot of false narratives that are always spread, and the truth is not always told. And if we've not learned from over time, if you just continue to say some of the same things over and over again and repeat it, people will start to believe it. Today, they still live off of the spoils of the past and present exploitation while still calling others lazy. And that's the newest thing. I don't understand how they call black people lazy when black people were the ones doing all the hard labor, and it was free labor, while they sat back and collected the money. They stole lands from indigenous people rather than develop their own agricultural system. They plundered through Africa, India, Southeast Asia for raw materials instead of producing their own. When white people say black people didn't earn it, it's nothing more than projection. Because why do you think all these years blacks have always been pushing for reparations for things our ancestors was never repaid for? They were promised 40 acres and a mule at the end of slavery to be able to go off somewhere and get their own piece of land and get their own donkey or mule and try to make something of themselves with the newfound freedom that they had. But white people back then just never did that, nor did they plan to actually follow through. Then, all this crazy talk about DEI and how they've taken that word and just changed the narrative and its meaning just to forward their own narrative for their people that follow them will start using and understanding it in the way that they've explained it. When things fail, when things go wrong, they're always talking about and the person who actually supposedly made the mistake or did the wrong gets blamed, and then they'll call it, it's probably a DEI hire, as if it's someone who's a person of color that didn't do something properly, when that's not even what the situation was. I mean, let's look at how serious they are about DEI. Look at Trump's cabinet. Good old boy hirings. This is why we had DEI, to avoid shit like this. They got people in every position. They always talk about hiring people on merit. None of these people that he's got in his positions have no experience. Nobody's questioning it. Hell, I had a situation a couple of weeks ago here at our department, our lab, where a patient, I guess, we were having issues being short-staffed, and we had a two-hour wait. And the lady was just very impatient, and she wanted to get out of here, and she didn't want to wait, so she decided to leave. So she shows back up within a few minutes, making a statement like, I heard somebody called me. I said, no, nobody called you. You left, and we took you out of the log. You just said you left. You didn't want to wait. So she makes the comment. So she looked around and noticed that the majority of my staff are people of color. And she decided to drop the, this is horrible. This must be a DEI operation. So this is what people look at DEI as, and what they don't understand is white women were the biggest beneficiaries of DEI. White women. They didn't realize it until they started losing their jobs over the last few weeks. Because nobody wanted to pay attention to it because they felt that it wasn't them. So it's not them, why bother? As long as they're not being bothered, they could care less who's getting the shaft. Because when you think about it, think about what they did with Obama. President Obama, the former president. He had to be perfect. He had to be perfect in every way imaginable to get elected. He was a highly educated lawyer. He was a genuine family man. Literally zero scandals. They're trying to make up some now, all these years after he's been out of the White House. Experienced in government, who was a true unifier, who possessed integrity, character, ethics, and eloquence, intelligence, carried himself with dignity and respect, and he honored the office. Now, Trump, on the other hand, he was a white man who was elected despite being the most divisive, corrupt, immature, lying, manipulative, deceitful, treasonous, fascist, and criminal person to ever run for the presidency. Oh yeah. Not to mention who he is as a proven sexual predator and an openly racist person. Now, these are facts. Anybody wants to dispute it, they can. You can put something in the comment section. That's fine. Facts are facts. I know people still want to use the alternative facts, which are untruths. The point is, black folk need more than just merit and qualifications to get into positions in white-run establishments. Not only do we have to be perfect, they need establishments and institutions that do not discriminate, which is why in a white supremacist nation, DEI is critical to help with equality and justice. But now the term DEI and DEI hire is being recoined as the new N-word for many far-right races like our current administration, and important initiatives like CRT, critical race theory, and woke have been distorted and demeaned for right extremists in order to destroy racial progress and justice. These are the modern narratives of our diseased white supremacist nation. So when Trump says that black and brown people didn't earn it, it's just projecting, because he is likely the most unqualified, degenerate leader of a country in human history. Remember this: there's only one reason why DEI is being aggressively dismantled, why black history is literally being erased, and why brown and black immigrants are being rounded up. It's because our government is currently leading the largest white supremacist movement since Jim Crow laws started in 1865. Never let their hate and humanity become normalized. We can't. Because, like anything else that they're doing, that's not normal. They've been able to normalize some things that aren't normal. We're in some very trying and critical times right now. And the thing is, we got 4 more years of this. People need to stand up. People need to speak out. People need to go to their government officials, to your senators, to your representatives, and just stay on top of them until they get this thing right. It's just not right to bring these people into these offices and office positions, and then when it's time to call on them, you can't find them. I mean, you look at what's happening now with the town halls. They're doing the best that they can to avoid having to have town halls because they're going to get called out on their BS. What I'm happy about is the Democrats are sliding right into that little space and talking to their constituents, the Republican constituents, and getting questions answered for them that their Republican congresspersons won't hang around to answer. So it's an opportunity for the Democrats to seize the moment and put all that information out there so that when these positions are up for vote at election time, they can use all this time to go back to these town halls and to say what they've been able to do to help them understand what was going on, since their constituents, who are very knowledgeable, weren't getting their questions answered. I'm very hopeful though. I'm very hopeful for our country because you do have people rising up, which we have to do to combat this. We can't allow them to just strong arm and bully and wind up getting into these positions with no kind of fight. So what I would say is, let's continue to keep up the fight. Let's continue to push back. And let's continue to push to the point of keeping the democracy, the democracy that it is. Anything that you may want to add, you can add in my comment section. Please like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to my channel if you like the content that's being dropped. If you have things that you want me to discuss, we can do that too. So I actually do hope I hear from some people and get some responses. In the meantime, you guys have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. I was seeing on the news that it was possible that we could be getting some severe weather this afternoon, but it doesn't really feel like it. But I'm not a weatherman, so what do I know? Have a great rest of your afternoon. God bless you. And until I'm back with more content. We'll talk soon.